What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope everybody's weekend is going well so far. I wanted to end the weekend off on a really delicious note by sharing this fluffy and flavorful polari recipe with you guys. Now this is not the traditional Guyanese polari because Guyanese polari traditionally is made with the freshly ground split peas, and it's a little more dense on the inside and it's much crispier on the outside, and they're not as smooth and fluffy as these polaris here. This is the polari that's similar to like a Trini polari because it has like the green seasoning and those kinds of flavors. This is more similar to the polari that you would get at a roti shop if you were to order it there. Nonetheless, it was delicious and I was truly craving some with this amazing tamarind sauce here. I have a recipe for tamarind sauce on my channel as well if you want to check that out. All of that good stuff will be linked in the description box down below. But in the meanwhile, let's get into this recipe and I'm going to show you guys how quick and simple it is. So we're going to start off by mixing the polari batter. So in a bowl, I have my all-purpose flour and I'm going in with some yeast, and that's going to help it get really nice and fluffy and have that nice stretchy elastic texture. I'm also going to go in with some baking powder, and what the baking powder does is it also gives the polari a nice light texture. Trust me, once you try out the combo of baking powder and yeast together, you'll never go back to just using one or the other. And I'm also going to go in with some turmeric or dye. I really like my polari or bara to be nice and yellow, but you can omit it or you can lessen it if you wish. I'm also going to go in with a little bit of roasted ground geera. Again, these are all things as per my preference, but if you want to use something else or if you want to omit a certain ingredient, feel free to do so. Once you have the flour and the yeast and the baking powder, your recipe will come out fine. Now on top of this, I'm going in with some split peas powder, also known as dal flour. If you didn't want to add this, you don't have to either. Some people, when they make flour polari, it is strictly just flour, but I also like that little addition of dal in there. And all you're going to do is give it a nice mix with a fork or a spoon or your hand, and then you're going to go in with just a little bit of salt. And I will leave my measurement for salt and all of the other ingredients down below, but for the salt, you're going to want to taste the batter when you're done mixing it, just to make sure that you've added in enough as per your own taste. And I'm also going to go in with just a little pinch of sugar. Adding a pinch of sugar will help that yeast form up and get nice and bubbly while it raises, because the yeast will be feeding off of that sugar and become fluffy. And I'm also going to go in with some finely chopped scallions. This is optional, but I really wanted to give it a nice flavor with it. And I'm also going to go in with my homemade green seasoning. If you want to see how I make that, I'll have the recipe linked in the description box down below. All it is some cilantro, some pimento peppers, some hot pepper, as well as some garlic, but you can use your own mix if you want to as well. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to mix in some warm water so this way I can bring the dough together. Now you're going to see that that first batch of water that I put in was very green. The reason being was because I had made some fresh green seasoning just before, so I had washed out the blender and I added that residual water in because I did not want to waste anything. But you're just going to see me add in some more water a little bit at a time until I get a very nice soft and sticky dough. You definitely don't want something super hard as if you were making a roti. You want it to be much more tacky and sticky, but you also don't want to make something that is too soft where it's like a very wet batter, because if it's too soft then your polaris are going to be very oily and you're going to have no chance of getting them nice and round when you put them in the oil. And as you guys are seeing, I'm adding in a little bit more ground turmeric or dye. The reason being is because as I'm mixing that water in, I see that I want it to be a little more yellow. Again, this is as per everybody's preference. If you want more or less, you can add that in. And before I forget, I'm also going to go in with a little bit of crushed wiri peppers. Now you can omit this if you don't want your polari to be very spicy. My green seasoning recipe does have some hot peppers in it, but I like that added extra pepper in there. Again, it's as per your preferences. If you like that taste and that spiciness, you can add it in, and if you don't, you can omit it. Some people, when they make the flour polari, it is very basic and plain. It just has the salt and the leavening agents and the flour. If you want to make something with the bare minimum ingredients, you can do that as well, but I like to add all of these things in just for a little bit of added flavor. Now the last thing that I'm doing here is once you get the right texture with enough water, you're going to go ahead and start to beat the dough a little bit. So once I beat this just for about 20 times or 30 times, I'm going to go ahead and scrape down the sides. I'm going to cover this bowl and I'm going to leave it to raise or proof in a warm area until I see that some bubbles start to form and it grows in size a little bit. So this is what my polari dough looks like after it was raising for about an hour in a very warm place. You're going to see that on the sides of the bowl that there are some little bubbles that are forming, and that's exactly what you want to see. So I've heated up some canola oil on a medium-high heat. And one of the ways that I know that the oil is hot is by putting a wooden spoon inside of the oil. And if you see it start to bubble up like you're seeing here, that's how you know it's hot. All I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to dip my hands or my fingers in a little bit of oil, so this way it cannot have the polari batter stick up on my hands. And I'm going to grab a little handful of that polari batter and I'm going to squeeze it in between my thumb and my second finger, so this way I can get them into nice round balls. Some people prefer to drop it with all of their fingers, just scoop a little one and do one at a time, but I find this method more efficient, and also you will get really nice round poloris if you try it this way. And these only take about 2 to 2.5 minutes to fry. It takes a very quick time. You want to take your spoon and you just want to move them and rock them around a little bit. And after your 2.5 minutes or 2 minutes, or whenever you see that they get a little bit golden brown as per your own preference, you're going to go ahead and remove them from the hot oil. It is that quick and it is that simple. Now, all I like to do is put them in a bowl that I've lined with some paper towels, so this way it can drain off that excess oil. This right here is what the finished polari looks like. As you guys can see, they look beautiful and round and fluffy. And that tamarind sauce is honestly glistening and waiting for me to dip a nice hot polari on the inside. So as you guys can see as I'm ripping this open, it's not hard at all. It's nice and soft as you rip it open. And when you look on the inside, it's nice and it's fluffy. You see some of those seasonings running throughout. And honestly, as you guys can see as I'm dipping it into that tamarind sauce, you should be drooling at home. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please head on into your kitchen and give this recipe a try. Let me know what you think. And please give this video a nice big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you are not subscribed yet. Make sure after you clicking that red subscribe button, you click the bell icon, so this way you'll be notified every time I post my newest videos. And of course, drop some comments down below and let me know what you thought. I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye everyone.